administration, which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. And we will not go away silently.
Let's give a round of applause to Letitia James. Yes, she wins the Bozo of the Clown award because this lady is a true bozo. And I'll tell you why she's a bozo. Sometime in 2022, she sued the Trump, not just Donald Trump, but the Trump organization and his family for some fraudulent business where she claims that they inflated their asset values for better loans. Now, I have a problem with that because what she is saying is that when they went to get loans, they would say the value of my property is $500,000. And then the bank would give them these loans based off of the numbers that they give so that they could get more money or so forth by inflating the value of their assets. The way it really works is when you say, okay, my property is worth $500,000, the bank would say, okay, we're going to investigate it. And then they go send their people out and then they assess the area, and then they'll come back with their decision to say, well, it's not worth $500,000, it's worth $450,000. And then they'll sign the dotted line and they would get their loan, and then those loans are paid off. So no harm, no foul. These business companies, they all do it, and so do people on Main Street. We will say, like my house, I would say that it is worth $200,000. And the bank would say, okay, it's really worth $175,000. Now, what am I going to do? I can't fight them. You're going to either take it or leave it. And that's how it works. So Letitia James sued, and because New York, the city of New York, the state of New York is such a blue state with some real ignoramus people living out there. And I'm sorry to say I'm from New York, but I'm glad I moved out because they have gone way to the left out there. You can't even live out there. The real estate is so expensive. I couldn't even get an apartment for even $2,000. You can't even buy a house for $200,000. It is that. You want to get a shot? Go get a shot. You'll be paying about $75 for one shot. That's how expensive it is. The rent's too high and the crime is too high. But yet, Letitia James, instead of focusing on the real issues, she wants to go after Donald Trump because she's trying to make a name for herself. But this bozo really screwed up because you can't hide your dirt in the closet because sooner or later it's going to come out. And she went after Trump for business fraud. And so she's happy they won the case. I know it was like either $250 million or more. She was suing for $250 million or something. I'm not sure how, but I know that she she won a lot, but it's in appeals right now, and she's probably going to lose the appeals because it like I said, the bank did their due diligence. Everybody got their money and nobody got hurt. But this bozo goes and she went after him and won and was running around like a fat cat until her dirt came out for mortgage fraud. So now the DOJ and the FBI looking into discrepancies in her mortgage documents. This lady said that she was going to her prime residency was going to be in Virginia, yet she was the Attorney General for New York. How are you going to make that your prime residence and you're the Attorney General for New York? It just can't happen. So right there, that was fraud, mortgage fraud, because she would have got much better loan deal if she was the primary residence. Because whenever you go for a mortgage, they ask you, is this going to be your primary residence, or is this going to be for business, or so forth? She said it's going to be her primary residence. She actually, that is not her primary residence, and somebody else is living in there paying rent. And as she said, it's a family member, but hey, they paying her to live there because she's just not going to let nobody stay there, and she's paying the mortgage. So you could believe that. Letitia James denied these allegations, but I don't know how you deny your signatures right there. Like, how do you deny this? And number two, she has a property in Brooklyn where she said it was a four-bedroom or four-room brownstone when it was actually 5. And because she said it was 4, they gave her a much sweeter deal compared to if it was 5. And she also said that her dad was her husband. So that way, when you're married, because when you're married, you once again, you can combine the income and you come out much better compared to just you by yourself. So it shows that you have somebody, right there with you. So it's just not you paying this mortgage. You got your income. It's showing that it can be paid. So this lady is a stone cold liar. And now the heat is on. Check this out.
New York Attorney General Letitia James' office is blasting a federal criminal referral, potentially targeting the AG. The Department of Justice is being asked to investigate after the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency claimed that James falsified records for home loans in Virginia. The referral says James listed a Virginia property as her principal residence in 2023, despite holding office in New York. Federal officials also say James misrepresented the number of units at a Brooklyn property and previously listed her father as a spouse for more favorable loans. A spokesperson for James released a statement reading, "Attorney General James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are." Joining us for a closer look at the referral is legal expert Nicole Bernecki. Nicole, thank you for joining us. This referral comes after James launched a civil fraud trial into the Trump Organization. Do you anticipate action from the DOJ, including criminal charges?
Good afternoon, Cindy. Thank you for having me. I think we all remember the big, bold civil fraud case that she brought against Trump and prevailed. And she has built her entire career on exposing deception. So right now, it's a very problematic situation for her because she's being accused of the same act that she accused Trump of. And I think there is a high probability that they will go after her. Civil fraud is when you sign a declaration or make any statement to obtain some favorable outcome, some benefits of any type. So in this particular case, it would be more favorable mortgage terms. If that is proved, then that constitutes civil fraud.
So the referral mentions other mortgage fraud cases involving public figures in other parts of the country. Does that precedent hold any weight?
Precedents hold weight in terms of federal law. So if this is prosecuted as a federal act and these prior acts were also federal, then it definitely holds a precedent because it pertains to the same statutes.
Now, some of the allegations are decades old. Are there any statute of limitations on mortgage fraud cases?
Yes, there are statutes of limitations on all types of fraud cases because time passes and witnesses disappear, documents disappear, and memories wane. So there is a statute of limitation. I think that is why that last instance where she allegedly declared her husband, her father, her husband, that was mentioned the last in the letter because it's just, I think, inflammatory at this point because it was so long ago.
Okay, Nicole Bernecki, thank you so much.
Meanwhile, the DOJ is opening a formal criminal probe into New York Attorney General Letitia James over suspected mortgage fraud. Andrew Cherkasky is a former federal prosecutor and joins us now. And Andrew, James is saying basically that the law is on her side. Listen here.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them
But a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia disagrees. Andrew, how much trouble is she in?
Well, I think she's taking a play out of Donald Trump's playbook. You just deny everything and claim that it's some sort of conspiracy. The problem for Letitia James is this is no conspiracy at all. The evidence is pointing straight at her for making false statements, for getting mortgages and engaging in home buying processes that seem to have been a clear violation of the law. Now, that has to be deeply investigated. Steps that are need to be taken to ensure that responsible law enforcement tactics are done here, and that it's not targeted at her because of her position, but rather because of the facts that support it. So I think she's in big trouble, and I think that the people of New York need to not be paying for that.
Unpack, if you will, so our viewers understand exactly what it is that she did wrong with this property, it appears, in Virginia in order to obtain a more favorable loan.
Well, there are two primary issues. One, that she listed this as intended to be a private personal residence as opposed to it being a rental property. There's different interest rates that come along with that type of election. And that's exactly what she went after Donald Trump for, that he was indicating false matters on his real estate documents. The other issue is that she had a building that had an occupancy for 5 units, but she claimed it had only 4 units, something that gave her beneficial treatment because of the smaller size of it, or the claimed smaller size. Both of those have serious financial benefits to the consumer who puts that on the forms. And ultimately, if that's not true, it amounts to fraud, and again is very similar to the type of misrepresentations on mortgage or real estate documents to lead to a windfall for the owner that she complained against Donald Trump for. So this is I think karma coming back to bite her, and maybe is why she knew to look into Donald Trump in the first place.
Well, and as you point out, you're raising the issue of karma. She was, of course, the lead prosecutor that went after President Trump, and now is having to appeal for paying millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, the last 10 seconds or so I've got with you, does this go to trial or is this plead out?
Well, I think that this is something that will ruin her reputation. If the evidence supports it and it's solid there, then as it looks right now, this needs to go to trial and she needs criminal culpability.
All right, Andrew Cherkasky, thank you for joining us on a busy news day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
So as you can see, this lady's all over the place. She allowed liberals, she allowed her ego and her hunger for power to consume her better judgment, especially when you committed mortgage fraud. And they have the documents, they have the receipts. So I don't even know how she's going to get out of this. She's in serious trouble. But this tells me a lot. This tells me that liberals were so hungry to get Trump. Because I'm waiting for Alvin Bragg to get his. His is coming. But they're so hungry to get him that they would do anything. And for her to go after this man on business fraud, when you committed mortgage fraud, and wasn't even concerned that it would come back to bite her, which it did. And now she's sitting there talking about the Trump administration is weaponizing the Justice Department, when in reality, that's what they did with him on a real bogus charge. So, what's good for the goose, I guess it's good for the gander also. But she'll get what's coming to her. So there's nobody else to blame but herself. I want to thank you guys once again for listening to me, and get ready for my 6th video. All right, guys. Peace.